since I've been in Korea for a couple of years, I'm going to answer it a little bit in Korean, so you'll have to accept me now, and because of what I'm going to say. I'll start by saying, your question was, how can a company disrupt a market? And I'm going to say it's a very Korean question to ask. Because it's very Korean to say, because what is disruption? Disruption is taking a market that operates out of a certain rule and break it, change the rule. So you're asking me what is the rule to how to break the rules? And there is none. That's the answer. There is none. Sometimes you have to try very hard, and even though you fail many times, you have to keep on trying. Sometimes you have to realize that if you fail, that's a problem and you need to change course. Sometimes you have to play by the rules, sometimes you have to play against the rules. I disagree with Joe. I think you're disrupting the hotel industry. I think if there was CEO of Marriott, he would disagree with you that you're just bringing peace to the world and helping people solve the space problem. I know that tuning, there's probably a lot of people waiting for John with knives when he goes to his call in the morning, and those will be the radio executives hating the fact that he's going to ruin their nice way of doing stuff the way they've been doing it for the last 40 years. It's like that when we disrupt, and that means it's tough to do, and it means there are no good rules to do it. So that said, probably the best thing, and the answer lies, the startup that does this will have to figure out the answer. One thing that is common is actually all the answers that have been said here today. Those are all pieces to the puzzle that only a startup can put together. If it was that easy to disrupt, we wouldn't be sitting here. We would just go and disrupt stuff, right? It is difficult, but if you have the passion, as you know here, and if you know what you're doing, and if you want to do it, and if you can create something your customers love and serve them, and all put together all the advice that we gave here, then you will maybe succeed, because how many startups start and fail, and that's been said as well. Failure will happen. It's a part of life. So I think my answer to this here is, if I'm an entrepreneur, then I would listen to all the advice that was given here, put it in a box and shake it a little bit, mix it together. And the one thing that hasn't been said here, and I will maybe add, because I think it's greatly missing in the Korean culture, is to seek mentorships from people like that. I would have liked to see a line outside these doors of startups. All the startups are in the hall over there. I would have liked to drop what they're presenting there and line up and sign up John and Joe as advisors to their startup. Now, in fact, stop them. You now know where he stays, and I can tell you where John stays. So stop them, sign them up, and say, hey, help us out. We have this thing. We want to disrupt this industry. What are your advice? What is now? It's not what they would do, because they would do things differently than the startup. It's what can they contribute to the startup. And I think that's a lot. So how do you disrupt? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. There is no rule. You take all the components we talked about here today, and then you just try very, very hard.
I understand. I didn't necessarily mean to say that disrupt. What I meant by that was, as a startup, you have to compete against incumbent companies in the industry. So there must be some ways which might be different from the old companies or the incumbent companies. So that is why I was asking about that. But I also understand your point about the mentorings. Joe, my understanding is that you have a good mentor. You are quite close to the eBay CEO.
Yes. So, I think again this goes back to This goes back to the ecosystem. This goes back to the Rome, Paris, the San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and the Korea of Seoul. How can you put all these pieces together in a very close proximity so you create access to them? It's access to talent, it's access to mentorship, it's access to funding, it's access to media and publicity. And so certainly in Silicon Valley, that's the case, is that there is such a high concentration of experienced people just starting out, that you can kind of mix and match and pair up with each other in order to inform each other. In fact, one of my mentors, who's not John Lennon, but somebody else, he started a very creative agency based in Palo Alto, and he loves to meet with 30-year-olds because it informs him. He's been through it. He's seen a lot of how you grow a business over the last 30 years, and for him, it's very invigorating to connect with kind of the next generation that's coming. So it actually works both ways, mentorship.
So, would you willing to provide the kind of, mentoring skills to some people in Korea sometime?
I love mentoring entrepreneurs.
Can you promise?
One day I'll have plenty of time to really spend with entrepreneurs to help them out.
Okay. Yeah. Should I go to the next question? I have a second question. What are the benefits or concerns of Korean startups as you see them in the global market? What are they lacking? If you have any observation, we don't have to go one by one. So, if there is anybody who has some comment, yeah, sure. And then you go first.
I think first of all, you mentioned the shortcuts, right? So there are some shortcuts that we know about, we kind of take for granted, that I'd like to pass on to the Korean startups. We know the shortcuts, and proximity is one of them, but there's even a shortcut that I come from Israel. Israel is 16 flight hours away from Silicon Valley, 10 time zones. And yet you would know it by the number of IPOs and Israeli startups and the influence. So there's even shortcuts to that. As to what Korean startups are lacking, since I don't have time to write the book, I'll maybe just give a few points. Number one is English, and that's huge. Missing in a big way, in a huge way. It has to be, if you're a global startup, it has to be in English. It has to be only in English. They're missing things like basic LinkedIn and access to other people, which is trivial to us. You can access everybody, at least definitely the three of us here, but probably everybody sitting on a panel by LinkedIn and ask them a question and ask them to connect to someone else. Why not use that? I've not seen Korean startups asking for help especially from people outside. And entrepreneurs love entrepreneurs. We all remember we were just broke and started off just probably a couple years ago. So we'd love to help. So there's some things that are not doing well. There's some things that are doing extraordinarily well. I think design is great with Korean startups. I've seen the passion. I've seen the technical abilities. Now there's a lot of government initiatives that we've heard. So there's a lot of top-down help to startups. So I believe the components are there. They're missing a few little ingredients which we need to take care of. And I do believe Joe will come here in a few years and will say, hey, I told you first that Korea is going to be the next. I hope you're not just doing the slide everywhere you go and changing the city name.
First time I ever said that.
There you go. So hopefully he'll come back a few years later and he'll say, yes, it is Korea. That's the next Silicon Valley.
And one of the things I'd love to add to that.
One of the things I'd love to add to that is that for every great company and every great entrepreneur, they had at least one great mentor along the way. There was somebody that helped them out. And so I feel like being a part of being an entrepreneur is that cycle of giving back.
I certainly think that Silicon Valley carries that in spades. When we reach out to places like Google or Apple, the amount of help that these very large companies are willing to give just in advice in what they've seen before is surprisingly high. And then that feeds on itself because it builds into the culture. It is part of what makes Silicon Valley what it is that everyone's trying to help everyone else and then celebrating the victory of those who succeed. I think in terms of mentorship, that's probably the key ingredient that I see in Silicon Valley versus everything else. I've lived in a lot of places in the US, and it is night and day in Silicon Valley, the amount of help everyone is willing to give everyone else.
Especially, your company was founded in Texas, and you moved up to Silicon Valley. So it seems like it explains part of the reason why you moved at the time. And if you compare, even in the US, there are different regions, and lots of startups are gathering in this Silicon Valley. So if you can explain why those startups are gathering there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the challenges is every region is going to have different strengths and weaknesses. The strength of Silicon Valley is certainly the ability to be close to other key startups and other big technology companies, and that's incredibly helpful. There is a large amount of talent within that area. Similarly to Seoul, part of the disadvantage is that there's a lot of competition for that talent in those areas, and so you have to work hard in order to build the perfect team. Across the country, across the U.S., there's many different regions that have different strengths and weaknesses. I think within Texas, there's certainly a startup culture, but not an environment full of very large successful startups that are going to be able to help tune in further down this path. And so seeing that key ingredient of what's so special about the culture of Silicon Valley is the primary reason.
결국에는 우리가 그런 실리콘밸리 같은 생태계, 풍토를 갖다가 이제 만들어서 우리 스타트업들이 잘 클 수 있는 스타트업 네이션을 갖다가 이제 하고 싶은 장면이거든요. 현 교수님께서 조금 더 우리가 그런 이제 실리콘밸리 같은 트라우마를 가기 위해서 지금 넘어야 될 어떤 그런 과정들, 그거를 조금 몇 개 정부에서 보실 때 정부의 과제도 있지만은 민간 스타트업 창업가들이 좀 해야 될 그런 쪽을 갖다 몇 가지 지적해 주시겠습니다.
기본적으로 그 벤처 경제가 실패한 이유를 보면 너무 하이텍 기술에 올인을 했고, 그걸 일종의 또 머니 게임으로 인지를 했고, 그럼에도 불구하고 시장은 사실 로컬 마켓에 좀 갇혀 있었다는 한계가 있는 것 같아요. 그러니까 벤처 경제와 혁신 경제에서 우리가 잘한 점, 잘못한 점을 면밀하게 보면 지금 이 창조 경제에서 우리가 무엇을 해야 되는지가 저는 정확히 보인다. 지금은 사실은 아이디어만으로도 바로 자기가 생각한 것을 제조할 수 있는, 미국은 뭐 거라지에서 창업을 한다고 하지만 한국에서는 거실에서 창업을 할 수 있는, 그러니까 크라우드 펀딩을 통해서, 클라우드 컴퓨팅을 통해서 거실에서 얼마든지 창업을 하고 제조업을 할 수 있는 그런 시대가 열렸음에도 불구하고 아직도 벤처를 하는 사람들은 뭔가 이렇게 정부를 여전히 쳐다보는, 그러니까 정부 자체가 뭔가 A부터 G까지 다 해줄 거라고 기대하는 부분들에 대한 그 기대의 마음부터 저는 어느 정도 좀 바꿔야 되지 않는가. 사실은 창조경제의 출발과 끝은 저는 버텀이라고 생각을 하거든요. 보통의 사람들, 대한민국의 3,500만의 스마트폰 유저들, 이 사람들이 창조경제의 주체이고 여기서 뭔가 에너지가 올라와야 된다고 생각을 하는데, 우리는 너무 탑다운 방식에 익숙해 있고 뭔가 창조경제를 하면서도 대기업이 뭔가 역할을 해줘야 될 것 같은 기대, 정부가 뭔가 A부터 G까지 원스톱 서비스를 다 해줘야 될 것 같은 그런 기대를 너무 많이 가지고 있는 것이 아닌가. 정작 중요한 것은 아까 이제 그 답변에서 나왔지만 사람과 사람들이 연결이 되고 사람과 사람들이 모여서 아이디어를 내고 서로 도와주면서 협업을 하게 되면 거기서 우수한 기회들이 만들어질 수 있다. 그것이 우리가 지금까지 왔던 소위 벤처 경제와 우리가 지금 하려고 하는 창조 경제의 좀 차이점이 아닌가. 그래서 근본적으로 게임의 룰이 바뀌었다. 그리고 지금은 자기 아이디어를 바로 글로벌 시장으로 밀 수 있는 그런 새로운 패러다임의 시대가 활짝 열려있기 때문에 누구든지 조그마한 아이디어로도 전 세계 시장을 정복할 수 있는 그런 시대가 열렸지 않느냐. 그런 기회를 잘 활용하면 충분히 대한민국이 그런 창조경제를 통해서 세계를 선도할 수 있는 좋은 어떤 시점에 우리는 와 있지 않는가 이런 생각을 해봅니다.
네. 그 중에 이제 또 한 가지 우리나라 입장에서 보면은 과거에 우리 벤처기업들이 내수시장 위주로 시작을 했기 때문에 거기에 이제 좀 한계가 좀 있었을 것 같은데 글로벌로 이제 그걸 글로벌 스타트업이 되는 게 이제 또 굉장히 큰 과정인 것 같습니다. 그래서 혹시 뭐 그런 글로벌 스타트업을 우리가 더 커 나가기 위해서 좀 필요한 그런 거에 대해서 담보하실 점 있으면 좀 얘기를 해주시고요. 다음에 우리 대표님께서 이제 그 초기 스타트업들을 어떻게 글로벌 스타트업을 좀 키울 것인가, 네. 거기에 대해서
일단 제가 그 부분에 대해서 그럼에도 불구하고 사실은 정부는 많은 준비를 하고 있습니다. 여러분들이 뭐 신문만 검색해 보시면 이미 5월부터 시작을 해서 6월, 7월에 소위 범부처적인 소위 창조경제의 액션 플랜들이 쏟아져 나오고 있고요. 그 안에 사실은 여러분들이 이용할 수 있고 활용할 수 있는 무수히 많은 기회들이 저는 거기에 있다고 봅니다. 단 정부 역할은 어디까지나 인비저블 핸드 역할이고 그 다음에 점프 스타트를 하는데 도와주는 역할일 뿐이지 결과적으로 창조경제를 끌고 가는 주체는 스마트 유저들 그 다음에 정말 안트레프레니어십을 가진 그런 그 젊은 친구들이 아닌가 이런 생각을 해봅니다. 그럼에도 불구하고 정부는 그런 친구들이 글로벌 시장으로 또는 우리의 벤처나 중소기업들이 글로벌 시장으로 쉽게 갈 수 있도록 여러 가지 지원책들을 마련하고 있고요. 소위 그 제외 공간들까지 협력 체계로 구축을 해서 국내뿐만 아니라 해외에서도 여러 가지로 글로벌 진출하는데 도움을 받을 수 있는 글로벌 진출 지원 시스템을 지금 아주 촘촘히 짜고 있습니다. 아마 여러분들이 찾아보시면 많은 그런 그 지원 제도들, 활용할 수 있는 그런 펀드 시스템들, 창업 지원 시스템들, 아까 얘기했던 멘토링을 어떻게 받을 수 있는지 아마 우리 삼성전자나 이런 대기업들이 아마 이런 멘토링 쪽으로 많은 좀 기여를 해줄 걸로 지금 그 준비를 하고 있는 걸로 알고 있는데요. 대기업은 대기업대로 상생 구조 속에서 그렇게 벤처나 중소기업들이 글로벌 시장으로 가는데 좀 도움을 주는 역할들을 조금 대기업들이 또 할 수 있지 않을까. 그래서 지금까지와의 어떤 그 게임의 논리와는 달리 창조경제 시대의 어떤 그 상생, 그리고 무엇보다도 중요한 것은 글로벌 시장을 겨냥한 생태계를 우리가 잘 만드는 것이 결과적으로는 승부수다. 이 어떻게 하면 이 글로벌 시장을 겨냥한 이 성공적인 생태계를 우리가 잘 구축할 것이냐에 대한 많은 고민들이 정부뿐만 아니라 민간, 심지어는 대학까지 연계해서 많은 그 어떤 협업 시스템들이 만들어지면 좋은 기회들이 활짝 열릴 거라고 생각합니다.
조금 더 이제 글로벌 시장에서 말씀드리자면 사실 저도 이제 그 다음에 있을 때는 제가 몇 가지 해외 진출을 시도했었습니다. 일본이라든지, 그다음에 미국의 라이코스라든지 제가 시도했었는데 솔직히 말씀드리면 다 실패했습니다. 실패했고 어떻게 보면 정말 글로벌 시장 진출이 참 쉽지는 않은데라고 다시 한번 그때 느꼈는데 지금 이제 제가 이제 프라이머를 하면서 다시 이제 저희 이제 스타트업 팀들 몇몇 팀들은 다시 이제 해외 진출을 조금씩 누리고 있습니다. 누리고 있는데 저는 이제 글로벌 진출에 있어서 어려운 점을 생각하는 게 아까도 말씀하셨듯이 영어도 첫 번째 하나의 진입 장벽인 것 같고요. 그 외에 한 발더 나가서 결국은 어떤 그 문화적인 그 차이를 얼마만큼 잘 극복할 수 있느냐가 하나의 큰 차이가 아닐까 싶습니다. 일단 뭐 영어는 기본적으로 요청할 필요가 있을 것 같고요. 사실 저희 많이 만나보면 요즘 젊은 세대들 보면 영어는 요청하는 친구들이 많습니다. 하지만 그런 친구들도 쉽게 성공하지 못한 이유가 저는 문화적 차이라고 생각합니다. 아까 앞에서 말씀드렸듯이 창업에서 성공하기 위해서 제일 중요한 것은 어떤 고객의 니즈를 잘 파악하는 것인데 그런 문화적 차이가 있으면 그런 것을 잘 파악하기 자체가 이제 힘든 거죠. 그래서 저희도 이제 뭐 하나는 서비스 업종 그리고 또 하나는 일반 그 기술 쪽에 중심이 되는 솔루션들을 저희가 해보려고 하고 있는데 그래서 저는 1차적으로는 글로벌 나가기가 조금 더 그래도 쉬운 것이 솔루션이나 기술 쪽이 조금 아닐까. 왜냐하면 해외를 나가는 데 있어서 기술이나 솔루션 쪽은 그나마 문화적 차이가 적다는 거죠. 그래서 좀 저희는 이제 1차적으로 좀 그런 쪽들을 좀 더 저희 이제 프라임에서 트라이를 해보려고 하고 있고, 그리고 이제 일본 서비스들 같은 경우, 저희 이제 서시오 같은 이제 패션 같은 경우도 보면은 약간 한류 같은 편성이 돼서 또 해외 상대들 같습니다. 이런 쪽들은 또 다시 한번 또 저희가 문화적으로 한번 더 트라이를 해볼 수 있지 않을까 싶은 생각을 하는데요. 결국 현지인들 얼마만큼 잘 이해하는가. 그러면 본인이 진짜 미국 보는 사람이냐, 아니면 정말 멤버 중에 하나가 진짜 기획자 중에 하나가 정말 현지 사람이냐, 이런 식으로 뭔가 고객의 니즈를 정말 잘 파악할 수 있는 능력을 갖추는 것이 필요하지 않을까 싶은 생각을 합니다.
Yeah, just briefly. So I think I'm going to go back to what I was mentioning, and that's the expectation. And I agree there's a problem with startups having expectation from the government. And I'm obviously a firm believer in the invisible hand and that this is the right way to do things. But there's also another expectation that I want to talk about. The expectation we have from startups, the expectation that I have from every startup in Korea is that they have all the ability to go global. They can become the next huge success in the world. We have to expect that from them. They have all the capabilities. Everything else, in my opinion, is an excuse that they don't need to have. They don't need funding. As mentioned, this is the easiest time to start a startup, and that's right. And that's true for a global startup. You can learn the culture because it's all on the internet, and you can read the same newspapers and feel like you're in San Francisco. You can have webinars and phone calls and everything else very easily. There is absolutely no reason not to become a global startup. And I think one of the things that are holding startups back is number one, this sort of excuse, this thing that, well, no Korean startup has gone global, so it's hard. It's not hard. I think it's very, very viable. And the second is the domestic market, which was also mentioned. I think that's a huge. I would like to tell a startup that the contact with Samsung needs to be not by having Samsung mentor you, but having John here tell you how he got into every single Samsung TV, smart TV model from San Francisco or from Silicon Valley. So he's sitting 12 hours away, and he's in all the Samsung products that are being shipped out. That is what a Korean startup needs to do, not come from the domestic market, even to Samsung. If you're big worldwide, then you will be big in the domestic market.
I can add something to it. To build on top of this.
I can add something to build on top of this. I think the role from the top down, as you mentioned, invisible hand. To me, what I see with that is really creating the environment. It's less about being direct with, here's a check. But it's really about, hey, how can we create an environment where failure is okay, where people can have access to things that they maybe didn't have access to before, mentorship, talent. They can have access to distribution and technology. So I love that. I read that headline that the government was getting involved and able to help. And I think that the biggest and best thing they can do in order to get reap the benefits like Silicon Valley does is to help create the environment. So that was the first point. The second is, as a global company, we've had to face this challenge of how do you create a service that is accessible in 192 countries? And it was a very, very valuable lesson for us where we thought that technology could bridge us. We could be centralized in San Francisco, and we could code our way through the problem, and the service would be, usable all over the world. And that was a hard lesson for us because it didn't work. You could say we almost failed at that. So we learned from it. And the lesson that we took was it's best to localize with the local and actually find boots on the ground in your key markets to help bridge you so you can figure out those cultural nuances, those variances that us in the United States maybe couldn't understand about Korea or Korea within the United States. So localizing with the locals was a very valuable lesson for us.
I want to build on that point very swiftly too. Tuning's saying the same thing. The success of having a worldwide service is really important to understand the differences between every culture. I was giving an example to someone I was interviewing for a position, and I said, we have content moderators in every country who manage the local directory of radio stations. For instance, I don't know anything about Brazilian cricket, so do you want some American who's managing your Brazilian cricket directory? No, you want someone in Brazil managing your Brazilian cricket directory. To which he said, I'm Brazilian, and we don't play cricket. I said, see? Exactly. Now you understand. The whole point is have the boots on the ground who can teach you what that culture means and what is important to them and how to address that market.
But I want to add a warning though, because and I completely agree, of course, with what's being said. I want to add a warning of the Korean startups. Don't let that be an excuse, because I've heard from Korean startups saying something like, hey, we don't understand the culture, we need someone local, and I would say, no. You would start by offering Brazilian cricket as a startup, right? See that it doesn't work for some reason, and then figure out Brazilians don't play cricket. So while I completely agree with you, I would be careful, or I'm adding a warning here, the Surgeon General warning, and that is, please don't inhale that too much, because that's not an excuse for saying, okay, I don't want to start. Start, make those mistakes, try. I don't think there's a big cultural gap between Korea and the US that will prevent anybody from being successful there.
I should probably agree with you on that, because the last point of my presentation is start something now. You don't have to wait. It's more important to get it into the hands of people so you can learn from that, and then eventually, if you are a global business, you can go find the world.
Time for the questions from the floor. So I have several questions. Probably we cannot answer all of them, but let me just give you some of the questions according to time. 그 플로어에서 주신 질문을 콜라보 시스템을 이용해가지고 여기 저한테 전달을 한 게 있고요.